Hey dudes, bit of a follow-up vid from the last one, um, for mainly for John and Mr. Ed. A couple of 50s aficionados. Yeah, I didn't mention because I was pissed as a parrot, of course. I didn't mention who. Well, you couldn't hear who these were, so I'll briefly. Well, I'll go through them quick, and then I'll tell us a couple of stories. Yeah, first track's Johnny O'Keefe, J.O.K. Real Old Child, just snippets. There were whole sections of the Loved Ones and the Masters Apprentices and others where I didn't even have their fantastic vocalists, because I thought that would be the thing that the robot thing that catches all these videos and throws them in the trash bin. So I try to keep it just the instrumental without too much vocal. So, yeah, Johnny O'Keefe, I think, this is just off memory. Next up was Cole Joy, who was the other Australian rocker. He wasn't really a rocker, he was more, not Pat Boone, but he was more sort of in between a Pat Boone and a rocker. Yeah, I'll tell stories about that in a minute. Little Paddy, Johnny O'Keefe, now I gotta try and remember what they were. Oh, he's my blonde-headed stompy wompy real gone surfer boy, Little Patty. Now, I think Little Patty is an even worse singer. This is for you, Mr. Ed. Is an even worse cutesy-wootsy singer than Cherry Robbins. Juvenile Baby. She's probably reissued it in the last couple of years, and it's called Senile Baby now or something. Fool. That was that opening guitar, savage opening guitar work. I mean, the Fool was Ray Brown, the Whispers. But after the Easy Beats, they were the best Sydney band. I mean, these guys were great musos because they used to be in surf instrumental bands. They could play. And the next bit was mainly straight after Fool. Then the opening of Shaken All Over by Normie Rowe and the Playboys, same deal. Those guys could play like nothing. Really, really great. And then after that was the opening chords and the scream of She's So Fine, the Easy Beats. The Love One only just had the opening bit. It builds and builds and builds, and the vocals come in sort of late in the song, so I had to cut it. Pity we missed the vocals on that. A snippet of The Real Thing. The end of The Real Thing was on that video I made about the Ukraine, where you hear the little Hitler youth at the end going, Sieg Heil. Turn Up Your Radio, that was just the instrumental opening to the Masters Apprentices song. One Note off A Little Ray of Sunshine. A couple of opening bars that most people I know think I'm crazy, Billy Thorpe and the Aztecs. The opening section of Horror Movie by Skyhooks. 2 notes of On the Prowl by Old 55. God, awful band, awful. How's That? Huge hit in the UK from the Sydney band Sherbet. I didn't put Stares and Whispers by Renee Gayer, one of Australia's great soul singers. She's wonderful, and jazz too. Yeah, I missed that. I skipped over that one. Who Listens to the Radio? I must have been really pissed by the end of that video I made, because I didn't even include that. Who Listens to the Radio? The Sports. But I did include the last track on this compilation, Shape I'm In, Jojo Zepp and the Falcons. Sort of a great scar treatment type tune. It's already 4 minutes. Yeah, so yes, John, there was a tour. I can't believe that Buddy Holly flew all the way from America to Australia in a Constellation or a Viscount propeller aircraft and back, and then ended up dying, in a snowfield. I can't believe he came all that way, and then just a year later, or if that, he was dead. It was terrible. I'll never, ever forget the first time I heard Peggy Sue. I still have 2 original Australian copies here. I was 7 years old. I was They were playing doctors and nurses across the road with the two older girls across the street. I can remember this as clear as a bell. It was a beautiful day with blue sky. And they wanted to play doctors and nurses, but I was scared of them because they were about 10 or 11, so they could have been serial killers for all I know. But then suddenly on the radio came those drums, Jerry Allison, and then that savage Telecaster or whatever it was, Buddy Holly. I'd never heard anything like it in my life. Yes, I'd heard Elvis and all that, but that was sort of creepy music for older people. But Buddy Holly spoke straight to my 7-year-old brain. Buddy Holly and the Crickets, straight to it, straight to the heart, mate. And whenever I hear that, even now at the age of 71, it sends chills up my spine. That is the most awesome. Oh, the minute I heard Peggy Sue by Buddy Holly and the Crickets, I knew I was going to be a bum. And yes. So, yeah, Buddy Holly. Yeah, and unfortunately, yeah, what I was trying to say was Johnny O'Keefe was on the Lead On label, which is Lee Gordon, who was a New York promoter, dodgy character. He had his own labels, and Johnny O'Keefe was on the Lee Gordon label and then Lead On. Lee Gordon died of a drug overdose in London in 1964, but he almost single-handedly helped create the Australian rock and roll industry, Lee Gordon. He brought out big tours by, Buddy Holly. Little Richard was on it as well. Jerry Lee Lewis. I did see Jerry Lee Lewis in the 80s. He still had it. Fucking bad attitude, that guy. I saw Chuck Berry in the 80s. It was a nostalgia tour. They were still good. The only ones that were disappointing were the Everly Brothers because they tried to be up to date. They should have just done it. Anyway, getting off track, running out of time. Yeah, so Lee Gordon brought out Frank Sinatra. What's that one out of The Wizard of Oz, whatever her name was. Yeah, so interesting. Yeah, Johnny O'Keefe. And I had to tell a story about, Cold Joy and Little Paddy. The second track was Cold Joy and the Joy Boys. I actually rented a house that his family owned down on the Georges River in the early 70s. And I'll never forget one day I was tripping off my head on acid, and obviously. And I saw this guy coming down. It was this about 1,000 steps down to the water. That's why it was cheap rent. No one wanted to walk up and down 1,000 steps every time they had to go and get the mail or whatever. I didn't mind. I got so good at it, I could actually run up and down those steps without even thinking. It's just second nature. In the dark, it didn't matter. Never felt. But I was in must have been some heavy acid or something. I was in a bad mood. Oh, that's right. I had some of these German hitchhiker backpackers there, and they were giving me the shits. And he said, and I saw this guy coming down. And at first I didn't recognise him. I said, "Yeah, what do you want?" And he said, "Hi, guys." I went, "Fuck, it's Cold Joy." And I said, "Oh, hi, man," And he's a really lovely guy. Everyone will tell you that, He was the sort of the safe face of rock and roll. Johnny O'Keefe was sort of like the Johnny Rotten, and Cold Joy was sort of the Rick Astley or whatever, whatever the equivalents are. But and then his sister-in-law, sister-in-law was little Patty Amphlett. This is all very intertwined. Well, she was also the cousin of Chrissy Amphlett from what's that? I'm having a senior's moment. Divinals, who I saw one night when I was pissed out of my effing mind, and at this pub gig, and I was busting for a piss so bad, and this place was so packed you could not move. I turned around and pissed behind the bloody cigarette machine. I just had to. I had to go. And no one noticed, everyone's just, it was a rocking gig, She was great live. Chrissy Amphlett and the Divinals, they were great. And I actually I pissed, behind the cigarette machine. And then one day I went there a week later just to go and have a beer in that same area. And I went, fuck, I could have electrocuted myself. I'd pissed right near the power point. Anyway, enough of that. You don't want to hear that, but you just heard it. So tough tits. Getting all excited. Yeah, so Chrissy Amphlett, sad story with her, but she was great. All the Boys in Town is a classic track. Sadly missed. She was a sweetheart. Yeah, so little Patty couldn't sing for shit, but she's a lovely kid. And so there was some sort of family connection, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, I think I missed something there, but who cares? At least it clears up some of that. Take it easy.